legal in most culture, in the Western culture. But religion aside, that's what I wanted to find out, and culture aside, what happens emotionally? Abdul, maybe you can explain what happens emotionally in polygamous relationships. How do you people cope? Abdul, so thank you so much for keeping those comments. And you said, but another thing is that if someone has enough money, it makes him to get new ones. So it's a question of money. I wanted to hear that comment as well because you know when you can afford something, you end up having even things you don't really need, but because you can afford them. I mean, I've seen myself when I have money, then I go and get, things that we really don't need, but because I could afford them. So is that what it means for the Muslim community when money increases? So money becomes that push that takes you to a different height where it's now your pride, to have more than one because now you're in position to take care of them. Now I understand. Okay, so should we pray, Abdul, that the Muslims don't get money so that ladies can keep their men to themselves? Is that what we should pray, or is that what all the Hajatis should pray for so that they could stay number one? I mean, I want to hear Abdul, yeah? Religion and culture on the side. What happens emotionally in polygamous relationships? Do you really love these four people all equally? Do you really, really love them equally? Because the religion allows you to have more than one of up to four wives as long as you will treat them all equally. So if you're not going to do that, how is that handled in the religious area? Is it going to be acceptable that you love one more than the other because we are different? You can marry five sisters and they are all different. One is soft spoken, another one is aggressive, one is one of those that really don't care, and there's this one who takes things the way they come. So it is so easy to fall in love with different beats. Does that mean you don't in the culture religious section or perspective? Muslims do not fall in love. They just have to work hard, get that money, and get a new woman they want. Abdullah would still point all the guns on you to explain on these ones whether what happens emotionally in polygamous relationships. Do these women really love you men, knowing you have other women, or do they put up a show for you? Please shed light on that one because I don't think, truthfully speaking, you can love someone who you know loves someone else. We all want to love and be loved. And it is different if I'm loving and you're loving on someone else. It's actually, I can't do it. So kudos to all the women, Muslim women who do it, and those who do it because of culture. Kudos to you. The moment I find out, I feel I can't take it, so I would opt out. But those who know and still hang in there, kudos to you. That is something I wouldn't even, if I got to know, have the grace to stick to. So those of you who have done it, I need to know, is it doable? How is it emotionally? How does it impact emotionally on people who are in polygamous relationships? Abdul, do all these women still love or show love to you, one person? Or do they act like they care when they really don't and they wait for the money to run out? Because I've seen so many relationships of Muslim relationships where Haji there's this one that is really funny. I was a very good friend told me of a story where they were at school and their father, it was visitation day and parents had come to visit their children. Now this Haji comes around in a bus with a van, sorry. It actually wasn't visitation day, it was pickup day when school closes. So he came around with those big Muslim cars, and the moment you say your name, you get in. You say your name, you get in with your belongings. So there's this one who was getting in and had asked, "Who are you? And who is your mother?" And the boy said, "It's this and this one." "Oh, you are also here." He really had no clue. Now, from that day, people at school were laughing at this boy and making fun of him, saying, your father doesn't even know you. Acknowledge who your mother is. And you're here saying you also have a father in this world. So, how does it affect emotionally polygamous relationship? How do they affect emotionally? Abdul says, you may try to show them love, but it can't be 100%. Abdul, now you're being real. You're being real, and thank you, because I thought there's a way you guys can, tune and show 100% to everyone. Then why do you go for it if you can't show 100%? Because if I'm not getting 100 and I see my core getting 100%, guess what will happen? I will start acting up because I'll demand my 60%. Say, like I've been getting 40, I will demand my 60%. So, how does it happen? And as ladies, we can really cause havoc. Yeah. If I get to know that my man has more than one wife, guess what? When it comes to asking for things from him, I will not even have any empathy or sympathy for him. Why? Because I know if I don't ask for these things, he's going to have money to spare and give it to number three or number four. So I might as well ask even for the things I may think I'll need, even when I don't need them. So you see how it works? You end up having strife all the time. I don't even know how you do it. Kudos to all the men that are doing polygamy and the women who are juggling to more than one man. That is not easy. It's not easy. So, guys, go ahead as well and drop in the comments. I know I'm pointing all the guns to Abdul, but I know there are other people who are watching in that are Muslims and have their opinions as well or are practicing polygamy. I just need to know, is it something doable? Has it worked for someone and it was successful? Do you know anyone who is practicing polygamy and things look really good for them? Because the stories I've heard and the stories I know about polygamy are not so good. Uh, I just want to know, have you seen it work? Has polygamy worked for anyone? Would you ever consider polygamy? I need to know what your opinion is. It's a live podcast. Go ahead and drop in the comments. Abdul, kudos. You said, but if they are two, only it's easier to control. That is at least making more sense. But four was crazy. I mean, it's outrageous. Four is a big number. We all come with our different baggage. I can come in with my relatives who want this on this and this, and the other wife came in with also a large family that is looking for you to provide. So at the end of the day, even when you came home with $1,000 or 1 million shilling, tearing it up between all these people would leave you with nothing. I don't know how you would work tirelessly all through your life because you have to keep up with all these families members that you have to make glad, especially if you're coming from the African sect. But I think not only in the African, because actually in the African, society where people live communal and you marry me, you marry my entire family, you marry my sister, sorry, you marry me and you have to take on my uncle, my cousin, anyone can drop in at any time and need your help financially. So I think it puts a lot of pressure on a man when you're doing polygamy, even on a woman if you're juggling more than one husband. And I like the way Abdullah said, if you're doing two, only it's easier to control. I know, but four is outrageous and it's unbelievable. It doesn't actually sound and seem real if someone is doing two wives at the same, I mean, four, three. Even too, the other one gets to feel like she's a mistress, you know. I don't even know how you divide your time. Abdul, maybe you can explain. How do you divide your time between two or four people? How do you divide your time? Because I could be with you, I need you when I'm sick, and I need you when I'm not also sick. My kids need you, and then she also needs you, her kids. How does that? I just want to hear, how does polygamy, you know, what happens emotionally in a polygamous relationship? I just need to hear your opinions, guys. It's a live podcast. Go ahead and drop in the comments. And together, let us hear and build our lives. Today, the topic of discussion is polygamy, and you're welcome to drop any comment and we will read it. And here I wrote, because there's a time I spoke to a woman who had lived in a polygamous relationship, and she said one thing that happened to her was she started doubting herself. She felt like she was a failure. Yeah. She felt like she had failed her husband. That is why the husband had bought a second wife. It was about sharing his love, his attention, his time, and that to her gave her the stigma of I have failed. That is why my man is getting another one. So I don't know, Abdul, do you ever have ladies in the Muslim community who feel like they've failed? That is why. Because while you as a man, you think she was misbehaving, let me teach her by getting a number two or number three. She is stigmatized as someone who had failed. That is why she had to get a helper. But really, in issues of love, who would want help? You want the person to be you're with to be there for you, to choose you at any time. Anytime you see things are changing up, you're like, okay, let's, maybe part ways, but not sticking there and just be number two. Number two is not easy. It's not easy for anyone. I know even when it comes, like I'll give an example. We had a sports day recently with my son, and then he said he it was raining. It rained the whole time. And so I told him, don't go running because it's wet and it's still raining. I might as well buy you a trophy so that you don't go in the rain and catch a cold and then we have to go nursing you. And he said, I have to work for what I've got. I can't get a trophy that I've not earned. So same applies to my heart. If I'm going to give it out there to someone, I want this person to earn it. We are in it together. He has chosen me, I've chosen him over everyone else. That is how I would look at it. But then if I'm in a relationship and there are other people, it already feels crowded. It feels like I'm in it, but with so many other people. So have you ever lived in places where there's, communal washrooms? Everyone can go in there and they don't care how they look. Why? Because it's not one's responsibility, one person's responsibility to make sure that the washrooms are clean. But if it's in your house, it is paramount that it is key. Why? Because it's yours and it is yours alone. So I'll give you all my care. I'll give you all my love because I know you're giving it back in return. But if it's any other way around, I wouldn't because I know someone else will do what I've not done. And I think it gives, a lot of mediocratic love. It's not all the way, it's a bit of it, but not all of it. I don't want to pour myself out to someone who doesn't deserve, someone who is not pouring back the full measure that I'm using to pour in. Abdullah said, well, it's like this. If there is anything wrong on the other side, I may tell her and she understands. Number two, you think? One thing, Abdul, you need to know about us women is we can really act. We really can act. Yeah? I can be mean to your children, but when you come home, I'm the best wife you've ever been with. And so you will not even believe the kids because I will have put up a show for you that is unbelievable. So same applies to if it comes between a man and woman, especially those times when you're trying to get each other. I can be all smiles, all understanding, all caring, until something happens and the reality is revealed that actually I'm not always smiling. In the lockdown, that is when many things were unveiled. There are some men who couldn't stay at home and they would go walking and sit by the roadside and find many other fellow men and play, Ludo and all those board games. Why? Because they couldn't stand staying at home. They didn't know how to relate with their wives because all they have known is they come in as providers and that's as far as it is. But it's good when we take time to invest in our relationships. And a polygamous one is not one that allows us to really invest deep into relationships. And this lady said that she felt like she had failed. It was about sharing his love, his attention, his time, because he's at my house for just a few days or an hour or for a few hours and he's off to someone else's. So I think polygamy is up to us to really choose whether it's what we want or if it's not. And there's another man who said that having multiple wives is exhausting. Abdul, you'll tell me this whether it's true or if it's not. And that it's exhausting, not just financially, but emotionally. Abdul, I would request that you shed light, and anyone else who is on that is got any idea, has gone through a polygamous relationship, you go on and tell us in the comments. Let us know whether you agree that polygamy is exhausting or having multiple wives is exhausting, not just financially but emotionally. Each wife is a whole world you need to care for. That is how he put it. That it's really exhausting. It's like each wife is a whole world that you need to take care of. Can you imagine a world? Because all of us are different. I mean, I could be understanding, but my core is not. She is demanding. I could be prayerful, but my core is not. She's actually into something deeper than you would ever think is deep. So that is his take. He said it's like taking care of a whole world, a whole other world. That is how he put it in his words. That it's like taking care of a whole world, a whole new world altogether. Multiple relationship because everyone brings different drama, different things to the table. But that is the man taking it, seeing it that way. I don't know if there are any ladies that have been in polygamous relationships, how they are finding them or how they found them in case they are not in them anymore. It's a live chat, guys, and I'll continue reminding you. Feel free to drop in the comments your experience on polygamy. Otherwise, I'm waiting on Abdul to let us know about that opinion that someone has aired of taking polygamy, as he said he finds it exhausting, not just financially but emotionally. That it's like a whole world that you need to take care of. Abdul, please explain. Maybe it feels like a whole world that you need to take care of because he doesn't have enough money, like Abdul said, or he just doesn't know how to juggle. He's not good with his hands like juggling would go for polygamous relationships. Some women, however, found a sense of sisterhood. They co-parent, they manage households. There are those, I mean, there's this gentleman they were showing on TV that he had about 20 women and they were living as sisters, giving birth to children and raising them up as a community. One cleans, the other cooks, others go and sell things at the market. I don't know what your take is. And Alan has dropped a comment and he says, but what does the Bible say about polygamy? Because David and Solomon have had polygamous relationships. Now, if we are going to look at it in the Bible sense, Solomon had 1,000 women in his life. Now, if we have been looking at the Muslim brothers, oh my goodness, Solomon had 1,000, 600 wives and 400 concubines, if not vice versa. That was a lot. But guess how many kids Solomon had? They were 5. Yeah. Auntie Dina, thank you so much for coming in and tuning in.